Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Prayu Jakacharya Asatas Rashishimai. His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada ki, Ananta Gota Vaishnava ki jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai, ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Prem Sikaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasati Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopyan Samakun Radhakun Giri Govardhan ki jai, Shri Vrindavan Dham ki jai, Shri Mayapur Navidam ki jai, Ganga Maya ki jai, Jamuna Maya ki jai, Tulsi Devi ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Samaveda Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Transcendental Book Distribution ki jai, Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Kal Premadandi. All glorious some of the devotees, all glorious some of the devotees, all glorious some of the devotees, all glorious to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So this morning we're reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 85. Text number is 39 up there, or is it 40? 39. Balir uvāca, namo nantāya bṛhate, namaḥ kṛṣṇāya vedhase, sāṅkhya-yoga-vitānāya, brahmaṇe paramātmane. Balir uvāca, Bali said, namaḥ, Obeisances, anantāya, to Ananta, the unlimited Lord. Bṛhate, the greatest being. Namaḥ, obeisances. Kṛṣṇāya, to Krishna. Vedhase, the creator. Sāṅkhya, of Sāṅkhya for analysis. Yoga, and of mystic yoga. Vitānāya, disseminator. Brahmaṇe, the absolute truth. Parama-ātmane, the Supersoul. Translation and purport by the followers of Srila Prabhupada. King Bali said, Obeisances to the unlimited Lord Ananta, the greatest of all beings, and obeisances to Lord Kṛṣṇa, the creator of the universe, who appears as the impersonal absolute and the Supersoul in order to disseminate the principles of Sāṅkhya and Yoga. Purport. Actually, the last 10 chapters of the 10th canto, the purport was given by Gopi Pranadana Prabhu. And up to then, the purports were given by Hridayananda Maharaj. So this is by Gopi Pranadana Prabhu, who lived here in Vrindavan for many years. Wonderful devotee. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti identifies the Supreme Ananta, named here as Lord Balaram, from whom expands the divine serpent Anantashesh. Impersonal Brahman is the source of the text belonging to the Sāṅkhya philosophers, while the personal representation of the Lord, known as Paramatma, disseminates the textbooks of yoga. So I was asked to go on to the next verse. This is text 40. Darsanam vang bhutanam duspapam chap yadurlabam rajastama sabhavanam yanna prapto yadruchaya. Translation. Seen you lords, is a rare achievement for most living beings. But even persons like us, situated in the modes of passion and ignorance, can easily see you when you reveal yourself by your own sweet will. Purport. By ascribing to himself the degraded status of a demoniac birth, Bali Maharaj denied any spiritual qualification for being visited by Krishna and Balaram. What to speak of demons like himself, Bali thought, even advanced renunciants on the path of Jnana and Yoga fail to please the Lord when they do not give up their pride and envy. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshram Militam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah Mukam Kultavachalan Pangum Langhayate Yat Kripa Tadaham Bande Shigarum Dinataranam Vanchakalpatriyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasati Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Here Bali Maharaj is saying that it's very rare for one to see Krishna and Balaram. We're so fortunate we're in that rare category because we get to see Krishna and Balaram every day. So Bali Maharaj also was very fortunate in many ways. Lord Vamanadev, he came for two reasons: to deliver Bali Maharaj and to give back the kingdom to Indra, the demigods. But Bali Maharaj, he got the special mercy because he got this darshan of Vamanadev and he understood that Vamanadev is the Supreme Lord. Whereas Sukacharya, he couldn't understand. And he understood that Krishna and Balaram, they're the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So many people on this planet saw Krishna and Balaram when they were on this planet, but they couldn't understand who he was. Prabhupada said only a handful could understand. So many saw Krishna, just like in the battle of Kurukshetra. 640 million people were in that battle. How many could understand that Krishna was the Supreme Lord? And many of them were trying to kill him. So to see Krishna and to understand this is Krishna, just like we see Krishna and Balaram here. But how many of us understand this is actually the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna and Balaram, non-different than the Supreme Lord? Not easy. But there's examples of rare devotees who had such faith that this is Krishna. For instance, Raghunandana Thakur. He was asked by his father to offer bhoga to the Lord because he was often doing some business. So Raghunandana, he brought the bhoga in and offered it to the Lord. And Krishna's not eating. And Raghunandana said, Krishna, please, my father, he's asked me to offer this to you, please come eat. And Krishna is not eating. Raghunandana says, Krishna, please, this is my service to you, please eat, come, eat. And he was begging so sincerely. Krishna came off the altar and he ate. He ate it all. And then when his father returned home, I think his name was Mukunda, he said, where's the maha? There's no maha, he ate it all. He must have really liked it. Because Raghunandan, he was also used to getting maha. But Krishna ate it all. And Mukunda said, what do you mean he ate it all? Yeah, I kept on begging him to come and eat, and he wouldn't come down. And I was fervently praying, Krishna, please, eat. And he came down and he ate. And Mukunda's like, what? So Mukunda also, he's a great devotee. So the next day, he told his son, you do the offering again. And Mukunda was there watching. And sure enough, by the sincere, fervent prayers of Raghunandan, Krishna came down and he ate. And Mukunda, he's also a great, so he was also able to see. And we know that also, the amazing pastime of this, the poor brahmana who was taking care of an elderly brahmana, I think here in Vrindavan. He was a wealthy brahmana, the elder was a wealthy brahmana, and the younger, he was not so wealthy, but he was very sincere. And he was taking such nice care of the elderly brahmana. And he just felt so indebted to this poor young brahman. He said, when I return home, I'm going to give my daughter to you. And the young brahman said, oh, please, don't make that promise, because you know your family members will not agree to this. Because I'm a poor, simple brahmana, and you're an aristocratic, wealthy brahmana. They won't agree to this. He said, no, she's my daughter. I'll give my daughter to whoever I want. He said, okay, but can you make that promise in front of the deity? Yes. So he went in front of the deity. What was the deity's name? Sāṅkhya-Gopal, yes. So he went and he made the promise. And then eventually they got back home, and the poor brahmana went to the wealthy brahmana and said, you know, you made this promise. But before he went there, he had told the son, you know, I made this promise to this poor brahmana that I'm giving my daughter to him because he was served me so nicely. And when the elder son heard that, he said, no, this can't be. And when the wife heard this, she said, I'll commit suicide. If you do this, I'll commit suicide. Because there was a status, you know. Wealthy people married with wealthy people. Wealthy people didn't marry with poor people. There's a certain status there, you know, to the point where she was ready to kill herself, which is pretty intense. And the elder son said, no, I'll make up some story, it's okay. So when he came, the son of the brahmana said, this person here, he was giving my father some type of drugs, you know, some LSD or something, you know, some type of drug, and he coerced him into making this promise. And so it became a scene there in the village, and people were coming. And the brahmana said, no, he has promised before the deity that he will give his daughter. So the son said, well, if the deity could come and say this is true, then okay, we'll accept. Because he was an atheist. So the young brahmana said, okay. So he went back to Sāṅkhya-Gopal. And he said, my lord, you know, you made this promise is made before you, and now the elderly brahman, he's not keeping the promise, and he wants to keep the promise, but his family members, they're very upset. So please, you have to come and you have to bear witness. So the deity said, who's ever heard of a deity walking? Who's ever heard of such a thing? And the brahmana said, well, who's ever heard of a deity talking? You're talking to me. Who's ever heard of that? He said, all right, you got me there. Okay. So he said, I'm going to follow you. And you'll hear my ankle bells. Don't turn around. But you'll hear my ankle bells. And also, every once in a while, you have to stop and give me some rice. Give me something to eat. So then they got there, and the deity was there. He got there, and everybody was amazed. The deity came, and he bore witness. So he had this faith in Krishna. So faith is needed, very important. And so how does this faith come about? It comes about by hearing. Hearing attentively, chanting. You know, we got these 9 processes of devotional service. But you know, it's interesting that there's devotional service in purity, there's pure devotional service, but there's also devotional service under the modes of nature. It's like there's hearing in devotional service in the mode of ignorance. Now one might say, well, how could you hear about Krishna in the mode of ignorance? I'll tell you an instance I experienced on book distribution. I was at a college, and one person came to the table, and I was showing him the Bhagavad-Gita. And it turned out that he was a Christian, and he didn't appreciate what I was doing in giving the Bhagavad-Gita to people. So he expressed his displeasure, and then he walked off. A half hour later he came back, and he said, you know, I'll get that Bhagavad-Gita. And I said, well, it's good to see that religions, that other religions are coming and learning about other religions. And he said, no, I'm not coming to learn. I don't want to learn about this book. I just want to read it, find the faults in it, and then when I see any of you people again, I'll explain the faults and why this is wrong. That's called hearing in the mode of ignorance. Just looking for fault. But he might have found something good. Could have become a devotee, you never know. So that's hearing in the mode of ignorance. Hearing in the mode of passion. One person that I know of, when he would be attracted to a girl, he would chant his rounds very attentively, praying to Krishna that he can get that girl as his girlfriend. That's called chanting in the mode of passion. And then the mode of goodness, where we hear, but we're hearing to become peaceful. We're hearing so that we could learn something that could tell others and maybe get some fame, get some recognition. But then there's hearing in pure goodness, which is hearing with the desire to become purified so that we can serve Krishna nicely. And then there's chanting. There's chanting in the mode of ignorance. One time I saw a devotee, he was playing soccer with other devotees, but he was chanting japa at the same time. Yeah. And I think he was even counting those as the 16 rounds. So that's chanting in the mode of ignorance. Another person I saw, he was chanting japa, but he was watching a movie at the same time. How could you hear? So I said, Prabhu, how could you chant attentively when you're watching a movie and chanting around? He said, Vijay, this is the only way I could chant my rounds. Not good. And then somebody might have said also, there's sometimes where devotees are chanting, they're chanting, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, wrong. It's called dive bombing chanting. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. We've seen this, yeah? I just saw it a couple days ago, actually. So I went to the devotee and said, gently I said, Prabhu, I think it would be better if you stand up and chant your japa. He said, yes, you're right. Thank you, Vijay, thank you. I was distributing one time in Singapore, and I approached one man to offer a book to him, Bhagavad-Gita. And he said, I'd like to read it, but whenever I read, I fall asleep. And I said, well, I have a solution for you. Stand up. Stand up and read it. He said, yeah, that's a good idea. All right, I'll take one. So he took a Bhagavad-Gita. If we find, we all have the experience we're a little tired. As soon as we notice we're tired, stand up. Simple solution. Sometimes I see people that are like, for an hour, just, it's not good. So, one of the offenses, one of the big offenses, is chanting inattentively. This is one of the main offenses. Because as we know, the mind is flickering. Very difficult to control the mind. And therefore, Krishna, he says, Yato nischalati manaschanchalam astram tatastato nyamyate atman samaya. That from wherever the mind wanders due to its flickering and unsteady nature, one must bring it back under the control of the self. And it's said in the Vishnu Purana, Sahayatan Mahatmasta, that to not remember Krishna for one moment is the greatest failure, it's the greatest loss, it's the greatest anomaly. And there's one more. Anyway, we should always try to remember Krishna. And Vrindavan is such a wonderful place to remember Krishna. So much chanting and hearing, association with devotees. I just came from, we had a retreat at Govardhan with the Vaisheshika Maharaj and a number of devotees. And for 5.5 hours, we're just hearing. We read the whole Madhya Lila, Chaitanya Charitamrita, in 20 days. So it was so ecstatic, just hearing. Yeah. It's purifying. Hearing is the most important. Even when we're sleeping, there's only one sense that's still active. I'll tell you an amazing story of a life member in San Diego. He is a wealthy man. He has a big house. It was about midnight, and his alarm went off. Like some of you here, your alarm is Prabhupada chanting japa or Prabhupada doing bhajan. That's the alarm. So he woke up and he was surprised because he didn't set it. He didn't set his alarm, but it went off. And then he noticed that his house was on fire. So he grabbed whatever, little things he could, important things that he could, and he ran out. And his house burned down to the ground. Prabhupada saved him. He didn't set the alarm, but the alarm went off and he woke up. So this is the only sense that still is active when we're sleeping. Of course, there's some people, it's not active. Sound sleepers, I'm not one. I could hear a pin drop when I'm trying to sleep. But some devotees, like I heard that Jayaveda Swami, someone said that he could be sleeping next to a train and he won't wake up. There's some people like that, they can just really, just not wake up for anything. So hearing is so important. And whatever we hear, then we repeat. So therefore, Prabhupada wanted us to hear regularly. He wrote many devotees. They would have to write with some problem. He would say, I think it would be very good if you read a chapter a day of the Bhagavad-Gita. That will help you in your spiritual life. So Vaisesika Maharaj, he read that, and he started a program called the Chad. Anybody here on the Chad? Chapter a day? It's a fantastic program. I heard about this program about 25 years ago. I've been on it ever since. Every day, chapter a day. And it's amazing. So much more comes out of the Bhagavad-Gita when you read it every day. Now some devotees ask, well, do you read the whole chapter? You just read one verse? Or you just, do you read all the verses? Or do you read, So I have 2 bookmarks in the Bhagavad-Gita. So I read a chapter, all the verses, but then I have another bookmark where I'm reading the verses and the purports. Because Prabhupada's purports are his devotional ecstasies. That's really good association with Prabhupada. And I can tell you, now by the mercy of Kṛṣṇa, I've been distributing books now for 47 years, and devotees ask me, Vijay, what is inspiring you? And I tell them, mainly the Bhagavad-Gita. Mainly the Bhagavad-Gita. And I'll tell you, the person who trained me up on book distribution, Vijay Prabhu, Temple President here. He was my Sankirtan leader. Yeah. Then he became my president. So yeah, it was a great inspiration. So hearing is so important. We have to hear very attentively. In one purport, Prabhupada, he says, if one hears with rapt attention the Srimad Bhagavatam, one will be able to see Krishna on every page of the Bhagavatam. But to hear with rapt attention, one has to be pure in mind. But to be pure in mind, one has to be pure in action. But to be pure in action, one has to be pure in eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. But if one is able to hear like this, with rapt attention, very attentively, then one can see Krishna on every page. Won't that be nice? We could see Krishna on every page. But this attentive, we should be eager to hear about Krishna. It's like we have an interesting phenomenon in ISKCON that I'm also guilty of. Yeah. As soon as someone sits to give Bhagavatam class and he says, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, devotees start to go to sleep. Yeah, very common. And one devotee told Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, so many devotees, they're in class, but they're sleeping in your class. And Prabhupada said, my classes are for my advanced devotees. Interesting. So we hear Bhagavatam, just like they're saying here in India, that the cure for insomnia is Srimad Bhagavatam. But when we chant another verse, Saida Vijaja Jadendyatai. Everybody wakes up. No, we should be very eager to hear Bhagavatam, to hear Bhagavad-Gita, because this helps us to become purified, and that's the goal. We want to become pure. Like Bali Maharaj, so pure, but you just see the humility of Bali Maharaj. He says, but even persons like us, situated in the modes of passion and ignorance, can easily see you when you reveal yourself by your own sweet will. Now here is a person that's a pure devotee. He's one of the Mahajans. Yeah. But he's saying he's under the modes of passion and ignorance. This is the humility of a devotee. Prabhupada says in one purport that the ultimate humility you'll find in a devotee is in the pure devotee. Because he understands, I'm small, I'm very small, and Krishna, he's great. He's always here in the glories of Krishna, so it's easy to understand the greatness of Krishna, right? But if we're not always hearing about Krishna, then we can forget the greatness of Krishna. That's why it's recommended so much to hear. So Bali Maharaj is such a great devotee. And why? Why did Krishna and Balaram go to Bali? It's very interesting. The reason he went to Bali Maharaj was because Krishna and Balaram wanted to do service for their mother, Devaki. Because she had heard that Sandipani Muni, the spiritual master of Krishna, had gotten his son back because of Krishna. He had died. Krishna brought him back to life. This is Krishna. This is God. And she knew, my son is special. So she asked, can you please bring back my sons? How many sons? 6 sons. Yeah. So Krishna brought them all back. Krishna likes to serve his devotees. Just like we want to serve Krishna, right? We live to serve Krishna, to please Krishna. So Krishna lives to please his devotees, to serve his devotees. It goes back and forth. It's not just one way. Krishna loves to serve his devotees. Yeah. And devotees love to serve Krishna. And the service should be, we're aspiring to engage in pure devotional service. Here in this verse also I wanted to mention that he's mentioned here that it's very rare to see Krishna and Balaram. But it's also rare just to have the human form of life. Nardeham adyang sulabang sadurlabam labam sukapam gurukarkar mayana kuryashan devasaparit pamam bhavadim nataratsahama. That this human form of life is so rare. There's 8,400,000 different species of life. So many life forms. So to have this human form of life, it's a great boon. And it's a boat that can help us cross over this vast ocean of material existence. But when you have a boat, now this example was given before we had these big boats that have engines. They have these engines now that take boats across the oceans. But this example was given before there was engines in the boat. So if you're out there in a boat and you don't have favorable winds, where's the boat going to go? It's not going to go anywhere because there's no wind. So the wind is compared to the Vedic literatures. The Vedic literatures, this helps carry us back to Krishna. Hearing is the favorable winds. And the spiritual master He's the captain. If you're out there in the ocean, and you even have favorable winds, you got the boat, you got the favorable winds, but you don't have a captain, you're just going to go in circles, because you have no idea where you are. But the captain, he knows, he can navigate, he knows the proper direction. Sometimes we get misdirected. It's Kali Yuga, very difficult age. We get misdirected easily. But if we stick to reading Prabhupada's books, Prabhupada said 4 books. If we just read these 4 books, Bhagavad-Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Nectar Devotion, and Chaitanya Charitamrita. Yes, if we just read these 4 books, we're good. We don't have to read so many books. Just these 4 books, over and over again. Prabhupada said you could read the Bhagavad-Gita millions of times, and each time you read it, you'll get new insight in the subject matter. It's ever fresh, doesn't get old. So this is the great favor that has been given to us. Krishna has come and he's spoken the Bhagavad-Gita, left the Srimad Bhagavatam. He's sending his pure devotees. So many ways we're getting the mercy of Krishna. So this verse, Nirdeha Madhyang Sulabhang Sajolabham, goes on to say that if one does not utilize this human form of life, does not read the scriptures, does not accept a spiritual master, it's like he's killing himself. He's the killer of his own soul. Now the soul can't be killed, right? But there's many people out there that are practically dead. And therefore it's stated, the karma, no, seya yad karma dharmaya nadvi ragaya kalpate natircha parasevaya jivan api dohisaha. That if one's karma, if one's work does not bring one to dharma, if one's dharma does not bring one to renunciation, and if one's renunciation does not bring one to devotional service, then one is considered to be dead, although breathing. So what we have in the world now, Prabhus, is we have a lot of people out there that are walking around, but they're dead. The land of the living dead. Appears like they're alive, but their thoughts is just, where is sense gratification? They're not looking for Krishna. So therefore, Prabhupada said, our most important duty, as we heard this morning, is to give Krishna. We have to go out and give Krishna to others, so that people could learn who they are. There's so many religions, there's so many philosophies. No one is even saying the basic thing, that we're not the body. No one. When I heard that, when I read the Bhagavad-Gita and I read, I'm not the body, I was like, wow, that's great. I'm an eternal soul. I can't die. That's wonderful. But I never heard that anywhere else. And Prabhupada again and again and again and again and again, he's saying in the Bhagavad-Gita and all his books, Srimad Bhagavatam, again and again, we're not the body, we're the soul. We're part of Krishna, eternal servants of Krishna. So this brings us alive, this knowledge. Just like in America, there was one priest that went to Prabhupada, and he said, these boys that you have here, they're our boys, but they were not interested in God at all. And now they're mad after God, and they're bright-faced. How did you do that? This is Prabhupada. So fortunate, Prabhupada. What he did is just amazing. Yeah. At 70 years old, who was going out and starting a big movement, spiritual movement? There was an article, I think in the Times magazine, of the 10 people in the world who became successful after the age of 65. And Prabhupada was one of them. Yes. But they should have had it for everybody after the age of 70. It might have been, it would have been a lot less. Yeah. And he did so much, you know, the Beatles, when he was doing his preaching, they were the most popular people, as we heard, I think, yesterday. On the planet, they were so popular. And he made George Harrison a devotee. Ambarish Prabhu, of the Ford family. Prabhupada used to call him Ambarish Maharaj. Actually, Ambarish Prabhu is not in good health right now. Many of you probably know. I think he had a stroke and now he's having some other health problems. I think it would be very nice if all of us now chant the Hare Krishna mantra to bring his health back. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. He is helping so much with the TOVP, giving millions and millions of dollars, and he's so humble. He's such a nice, humble Vaishnava. It's just amazing. I've been friends with him for many years. He would give donations also for the Sankirtan vehicles. I was a minister of book distribution for many years, and devotees would ask for vans because there's poor countries that don't have any vans. So I would go around and I would get donations to devotees so they can give vans for the Sankirtan devotees. And Ambarish Prabhu is so nice. He would give donations for this. So, yeah, I wrote a letter to him yesterday. I hope you live a very long, healthy life. Yes. So, maybe we'll stop there. Is there any question or comment? Thank you so much, by the way. Any question or comment? Yes. Panchakota always has a question. What time is it? 8:52.
It seems as though your regulation is very solid, to make a mental conviction that you're going to read every single day a chapter and then actually execute it. He is very regulated and very fixed. So I think that's one of the qualifications really to make further advancement, that steady determination and also following Prabhupada's standard without cutting corners. Want to say something about that?
Prabhupada says in one purport that the rigid practitioner is sure to attain success. Rigid practitioner. So yeah, Prabhupada many times expressed the importance of regulation. One time he even said, even if you're so sick that all you can do is crawl to Mangalartik, go to Mangalartik. Of course, I think he was just emphasizing the importance, not that you should actually crawl.
Will they get benefit for Dandavats in Vrindavan if they're crawling to Mangalartik?
There's one devotee who was at Govardhan, and he saw one ISKCON devotee. He's doing Dandavats around Govardhan Hill, and he knew this devotee. So he said, if you don't mind me asking, what's the reason that you're doing this? He said, well, I read that verse in the Bhagavad-Gita, always think of me, become a devotee, worship me, offer obeisances to me. He said, I can't think of Krishna all the time. I'm not very sincere. To be devotee of Krishna is very difficult. But I can pay obeisances. He said, I can pay obeisances, so I'm doing that. I'm just paying obeisances. And you pay obeisances around Govardhan Hill, the mind gets purified. Yes, we have a Mataji here. Who has the microphone?
Thank you, Vijay Prabhu, for reminding us and encouraging us to read more and practice, bring that to practice. And it's just something that I was reminded of, a wonderful verse from Gita, Mahatmaya, which it just says, Maline mochanam pumsa, to take out the dirt every day, like physically from the material body, how we are bathing. Sakrit Gita Amrita Snanam. Similarly, every day to take out the samsara mala, the dirt of the material world, the impurities, bathe in the words of Gita every day. That's a wonderful verse. I was just reminded because you so wonderfully presented that.
Thank you. There's a nice verse also, Iti sadasikam nami, kali kamas nata parato pari sarva vedhase disseminate. That if one wants to become free of all the contamination of this age, anybody here want to get free of the contamination of this age? Yeah, I think all of us, right? If anybody wants to become free of the contamination of this age, and become free of all the sins of the age of Kali, then there is no alternative than to chant, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And Prabhupada said, when we're chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna is dancing on our tongue. He's purifying. Just like Krishna was dancing on Kaliya, and all the poison was coming out. The fire, the poison is coming out. So similarly, this chanting of Hare Krishna, the poison comes out of the mind and the heart. Prabhupada was speaking to some devotees in France, and he was explaining how all we have to do is engage in devotional service, and we go back to Godhead. What is the difficulty? Prabhupada was asking, what is the difficulty? And Prabhupada asked, what is the difficulty? And the devotee said, there is no difficulty, Prabhupada. And Prabhupada said, that's the point. But there is a difficulty. What's the difficulty? Huh? Yeah, the mind. The mind is the difficulty. That's the point. And therefore even Arjuna said, Chanchalam hi mana Krishna pamati balavajritam tasyaham vignaham mane vaireva chaduskara. The mind is flickering. Pamati, it's mad. Balavad, it's strong. It's driven, it's determined. And to control the mind, more difficult than to control the wind. Now here in India, you don't have tornadoes. In America, we have a place called Tornado Alley, and it's about 8 states. California, Oklahoma, Kansas, all these states, they have these huge tornadoes. And the worst tornado ever, I think it was in 2011, recorded, that was recorded. This tornado, it was picking up diesel trucks and swinging them around. Can you imagine? Picking up a diesel truck. Of course, it was probably empty. but still, that's, I mean, so powerful. So powerful. So Arjuna said, the mind is like that, it's very powerful. But then what did Krishna say? Abhyasena takontera vairagyena kriyate. It is undoubtedly very difficult to control the mind, but it's possible by constant practice and detachment. Yeah. Practice makes perfect. So the more we practice, we got to keep practicing. The mind will keep on pulling us, but we got to keep on bringing it, just keep on bringing it back. Got to tame the mind by the mercy of Krishna. Was there one more question? I think I saw, okay, there's the bell. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna.